Hello fellow horror geeks, welcome back to citygeek.com presents 100 Days of Horror. I am Bob, and I'm talking about 3 movies in this particular review. 3 movies that are connected, as the title of this video will show. As you're probably like, oh Patrick, what is that? Or that dog movie that came out this year? But no, it's actually 3 movies that came out in 1978, 1980, and 2013 respectively, and these are numbers 39, 43, and 47 on 100 Days of Horror. I watched them all. I didn't watch them back to back, but I watched them pretty quickly together. They're essentially remakes of each other, even though the 1981's officially kind of a sequel remake. It's an Italian ripoff of the 1978 one. So that take that as you will. Now, these movies, of course, as I said, are Patrick Still Lives and Patrick Evil Awakens, also known simply as Patrick. And yeah, I liked watching all 3 of these with a little bit of time in between each, as the numbers show, because they each take the same story and the same basic setup and do completely different things. That basic plot that we do expand on in 3 different ways is a nurse gets hired to work at a private mental facility where you have a comatose guy on the bed who's early 20s, but he's not completely comatose because he has telekinetic powers. He needs to be slightly aware in some way. Even if his body is in a coma, his mind is active, and he gets really jealous that she has, lovers and suitors and makes connections. So he starts to kill everyone that comes between them while also trying to start the connection between the 2 of them. So you have these scenes of stuff moving on its own, and of kills and this and that, done in 3 different styles and to different varying degrees of success. I did like all 3 of these for different reasons. 1978 one is, of course, the original, directed by Richard Franklin, who made the really great sequel Psycho 2, which I almost like better than Psycho 1. I know it's a travesty. Which we talked about with a decent amount of degree on the Underappreciated Horror Films podcast about 2 months ago, so you can find that. And then on iTunes, subscribe. What's a YouTuber without saying subscribe a zillion times? There. I have it in. Can I get my money now? No, I'm kidding. This isn't monetized at all. And that one is the most straightforward because it's coming fresh from the idea without having anything else before that. And it's well done. Its lack of budget kind of shows through a little bit and does feel kind of a little bit cheesy simply because of the way it existed in the time that it does. Performers are all, are pretty solid. Not great. The main draw there are the kills and how everything kind of comes about, and watching as it starts to unfold as you realize what's happening there. And there's inherent cheesiness to all 3 of these versions because of this simply dude, it's telekinetic guy, leave. Or why does anyone realize this was happening? Because you got people fighting over no, he's just doing this, something else doing that, and you get those connections there. The 1980 version is an Italian version of that. So if you're a fan of Italian cinema, Italian ripoff cinema, this is right up your alley, which it takes that and goes fuck nuts insane with it. Glowing red eyes and really weird kills, lots of sex, lots of nudity for a movie that's available on YouTube. This one is available on YouTube in all of its glory, nothing cut. The first one is streaming on Amazon Prime. The remake of that, the 2013 version I got from Netflix, but it might be available elsewhere. But you get that, but done with the insane Italian style. I'm not sure who directed it or wrote it down, but honestly I can't remember. I'm gonna mispronounce it if I do anyway. Tony, who is it? What else do you do? Because Tony and Cody know Italian cinema like it's the back of their hands. So they're the ones to follow through with stuff like this. But it was really strange watching something with so much sex and nudity on YouTube. This is where you have a woman who is completely naked being stalked by the invisible telekinetic Patrick, and he forces her on the table and telekinetically moves a bar or something into down below. And that's there on YouTube. So that was a surprise. So I didn't expect to see that. So that stuff's there if you want to find it, because unless no one flags it, no one's gonna take it down, which is really cool. I'm not sure where the rights are for this. It's probably available elsewhere, but fuck it. If I can watch it in that way, I will. So it's fun to watch this original 1978, which is kind of subdued, it's a little bit cheesy, and then it's going full bore nutso into it. And then 2013 brings it on back to somewhere kind of a little bit more serious and with a more of a darker palette, and Charles Dance and the woman who plays Erin and You're Next, I can't remember her name right now, to more of a more serious take on it, but an updated take, which I really thought was a really cool choice of using computers and cell phones and everything like that. but using computers and cell phones as a telekinetic device instead of just typewriters and notes. But it's done mostly humorless, but with a wonderful cinematic look to it. And they really tried to do something more serious compared to the cheesier other versions of of course the concept itself is cheesy. And I like this version best. I think it's the most well made, even if it is not as funny as the other ones, to be honest. But you know, funny horror films aren't what you have to go in to watch. You watch it for how good it is as a movie, and in this case it's a pretty solid movie. But unfortunately for three movies, I don't have a lot to say because there isn't a lot outside of the basic plot, the actual details of what happens. I don't want to spoil how those movies flow and where those kills happen and what happens to each character, and because I try and avoid going into spoilers so much. So each of these movies explore this concept in slightly different ways, which is really refreshing, that as remakes of each other, they aren't copy pastes. Even if the first one and the third one are following almost the exact same beats, they do it in different ways. So I felt, even though I watched the 2013 one about 5 days after watching the 1978 one, I didn't feel like I was just watching a rehash. I felt like I was watching an honest update that could have been its own thing. But none of these really get a lot of play in the horror community, which sucks, as I think they're good films. Well, maybe not the Italian one. Good for its own reasons. If you're watching a rip-off Italian movie, you know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, go check these out. They're out there. So Patrick Still Lives and Patrick Evil Awakens are solid uses of the concepts in different ways, and I recommend them for their own different way. If you watch this review and you're like, oh, this one seems like the one I should jump into, go for it. You'll find something to enjoy no matter which one you go with, and where your liking of humor and camp comes into. Less camp, go new one. More camp, go to the older ones, depending on where your version of camp is. But like, comment, subscribe. There's a subscribe word again. The thing's going to be up there in a second. Hit that bell. Go to cvgeek.com and see what everyone else is watching. It's not just me. It's a whole bunch of us watching different things. So you can find the master post there. If you go to the Facebook group from the master post, look up 100 Days of Horror, you can see what people are watching. You can still join us. We're only 50-something days in. It's definitely time to catch up. So you can do it. I trust you. And of course, stay geeky, and let's speak geek again. Bye.